Right, hello everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. Today it is Friday the 21st of November 2025. I'm Tom and today we are back with a match preview. Finally, the return of the Premier League once again after the third and final international break of the early part of the 25-26 season. Back in action, home to Nottingham Fprest, a big game. Not necessarily in terms of personnel or the teams playing one another, but a big game for Liverpool to try and get their season back on track. In today's video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about this game. We're going to talk about predicted lineups. We're going to talk a little bit about Forest, a little bit about Liverpool, press conference news, injuries, anything that you need to know about the preview, about the game will be covered in this preview. So, if that sounds good, drop a like on the video. Let's try and get to 20. Comment away your score predictions for the game and whether you agree or disagree with anything I say in this video, of course. And subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. Trying to get to 250 subscribers. So anybody doing so, clicking subscribe would be a big help. Podcast listeners, thank you very much for listening as well. 5-star rating and reviews helps me out on whatever platform you choose to listen on as well. So, to start off the preview today, guys, we haven't done a match preview for about 2 weeks since the Man City game. Well, exactly 2 weeks, actually. So, different circumstances here, much less magnitude, and much less size of magnitude for the game itself. Forest, obviously, different problems to City at the other end of the table. But a big game just generally for the feeling of the season, I feel like. So after the international break, what I always like to do to start these previews off is to look at the international break minutes of our players, what they've played. I've got a nice graphic for you that I've drawn up. Let's go and look at that now and talk through how our players got on during the international break. Okay, so here are all the Liverpool players and their minutes over the first game and the second game for the international teams, and then their total minutes obviously on the side. So more minutes is obviously worse for us. So that's the colouring system used. Red obviously worse, green better. So Mamardashvili plays 290s, not really a cause for concern here as he's a goalkeeper. And then you've got Bradley and Frimpong. So Frimpong obviously injured, no minutes for him. Bradley 90 and 45 has got injured. Now, Slot did drop a couple bombshells on us this morning in the presser that Bradley and another player we'll get to later are injured for a couple of weeks, Bradley especially. So right back situation, bit of an issue. We'll talk more about that later. I should mention as well, Alisson not on here. Obviously didn't play for Brazil, but he is fit for the weekend apparently. So expecting him to start. Van Dijk plays the full 90 in both games. Konate just 190, so decent minutes there for Ibu. Gomez doesn't get called up. Kirk has played 86 and 90, so pretty much 2 full games. And obviously were eliminated from World Cup qualification in pretty heartbreaking fashion there to Republic of Ireland. And then Robbo, our other left-back, had complete opposite fortunes to Kirkes, qualifying in that dramatic Scotland game. If you didn't watch that against Denmark, go and watch the highlights. Absolutely insane game. Scott McTominay scored an overhead kick in 3 minutes. Like, he's unreal now, apparently. There was a halfway line goal. Kieran Tierney scored an absolute belter in, like, the last minute. It was unbelievable. Yeah, great game. Happy for Robbo to qualify. Gravenberch played 89, so pretty light minutes for him. Good to see. Szoboszlai full 90. Got 2 assists as well, one in each of those games. Just continuing his great form. Kirk, as I will say, also got an assist in the second game. So, decent minutes for those guys. McAllister played in a friendly. It wasn't a qualifier for the South Americans. They didn't have qualifiers. He did play one friendly, though. So, better minutes for McAllister. Usually, we see him playing really heavy minutes on a faraway area. Better this time, I think. Hopefully, he comes back to us with a bit better form, because normally after the international break he's terrible. Jones didn't play at all. Endo played 90. Wirtz played 90 and 77 minutes in the second game. Now, he was excellent over the international break, played really well in both games, got 2 assists in one game against Slovakia. Now, He's the other player that Slot mentioned is injured. Not as bad as Bradley apparently, but it is a muscle injury of some kind. Don't know how or when he got injured. But a massive disappointment this morning to wake up and see that news after some good performances for Germany. Salah played 90 once, Ekatike played 90, and then a 23-minute substitution appearance where he did score a goal, so good for him. Isak played only 28 minutes, which you might be thinking is good, but Slot actually said in his presser that he would have wanted Isak to play more because he would have wanted him to get a bit of match fitness after coming off his injury. Too much conversation about Isak's minutes for me. I just want to see him playing for Liverpool and scoring goals. There's too much conversation about is he playing enough minutes or too many minutes? Is he injured? Is he not injured? Like, just get him on the pitch for us. That's all I care about. Gakpo basically plays the 2 full games there, and then Chiesa not called up. So overall, I don't think the minutes distribution is too damaging for us, really. Like, the players, like Van Dijk always plays both games. I think that's fine. Robbo and Kirkes both playing a lot. Not ideal, but I think this should be fine. They're both, quite fit and have good injury records anyway. Szoboszlai's a machine, and then Wirtz obviously injured. That's the bad one, but everything else I think generally across the squad is looking okay. So, with that said, with those updates in mind, a lot of our players obviously played really well over the international break. Gakpo got a couple goal and assist involvements as well. Hopefully they can come back with some form. So let's look at the predicted 11, in my opinion, for this game and see who I think is going to start for us. Okay, so here is the predicted 11, in my opinion, for Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. Now, it's a bit of a tricky one this time round. Alisson will start in the goal. Slot did say in the presser that Alisson will start if he gets through today's training okay, which he should do. So I expect Alisson to start in the goal. We'll go to right back next, but I do think Szoboszlai will play. I'll talk more about that in a second. Konate and Van Dijk will be centre-backs. And I think Kirkes will start at left back with Gravenberch in the middle. I think McAllister will be next to him. Then I've got Jones ahead of them for now, with Salah on the right, Ekatike up front, and Gakpo on the left. I think that will be the lineup. Now, where are the talking points there? Well, the obvious one straight away is at right back. Now, Bradley injured. Slot said 2 or 3 weeks for Bradley. Now, we have 7 games in the next 22 days, I believe. So he's going to miss pretty much all of them by the sound of things. And it sounds like the same thing with Frimpong. Not ideal to have no right back for that period at all. So you might be thinking, will we play Joe Gomez? Maybe. Now, Slot talked about him in the presser as well. He actually said Gomez missed a training session earlier this week. He will train today, apparently. It didn't seem like a big issue, but he did mention it. And he also said he's only played 90 minutes twice in the whole of 2025. Now, when I hear those quotes, that is Slot to me saying Gomez is not going to start this game. That's what I'm inferring from those quotes. Which means basically our only other option is to play Szoboszlai there. Now, one thing they might do, and I think this would be better, by the way, is to play Szoboszlai in the middle and Jones at right back. I want us to do this, and I'll talk about this in a second, but what I think Slot will do is play Szoboszlai at right back. Now, some people might think, well, maybe we should play Calvin Ramsey at right back. And maybe we should. He is a right back. He did all right against Crystal Palace. He's obviously not doing anything else, so maybe we should play him at right back. I'll give you a spoiler. We won't. He won't play him at right back. Whether he should or he shouldn't, he won't do it. If he does, I'll be shocked and amazed, and you can all come on here and comment away that I'm clueless. I don't think there's any way we play Calvin Ramsey in this game. Another talking point is left back. So Kirkes, I've got given the nod again after Robbo has recently displaced him in the team. Slot said Robbo missed the training session for us as well due to, he said, a private reason. Not sure if that was linked to the qualification of Scotland and obviously Robbo's quite emotional post-match interview or not. No idea. Could be totally unrelated, but I think Kirkes comes back in. I just think Slot clearly wants Kirkes to be first choice. Like, get him back in a team, hopefully in a game that we can dominate and hopefully you can impact from an attacking sense. I think he comes back in. Now, the midfield, I think Gravenberch and McAllister will definitely start. And then with Wirtz injured it basically leaves Jones as our only other midfielder. Now, another option he might do is go Isak and Ekatike, but I don't think he'll start Isak, which is why I've got Ekatike leading the line. I think Isak will be on the bench just because, again, he mentioned the minutes. You have to read what Slot says and infer from what he says, what he's thinking of the players. And I think that mention he said about he wanted Isak to play more for Sweden indicates to me that he doesn't think he's fit enough to start for us. Otherwise, he wouldn't say something like that. So I think Isak will be on the bench. It gives us not a lot of other options, really, with Wirtz injured, with Szoboszlai having to play right back. But like I said, I think we should play Jones at right back. Now, why should we do that? Well, something we've really struggled with this season is our build-up play, especially when teams have been filtering Konate the ball all the time. I think, first of all, Szoboszlai is wasted at right back. Absolutely wasted. He is an engine in the middle. He's our best midfielder this season. He's our best player this season. He needs to be in this middle of the pitch, whether he's here or here. I think he should play here when everyone's fit. Whether he's that further forward player, I think we're going to need him there in this game. At right back, I don't think he's any use. And I think he's better in the middle than Jones is in that forward position. And I think Jones is about as good as Szoboszlai is at right back. But where I think Jones can be good at right back is, in this game, we're going to have a lot of the ball. We're playing a Dyche Forest team. They're going to be sat really deep, probably even deeper than how I've got them set up, but I won't move them. So I think if we throw players forward like this, Kerkez, Van Dijk, Konate, everyone's coming forward. I think if we have Jones at right back and we shift him into the middle like this, inverting the fullback, we can create a little sort of boxy type thing going on here. Get Kerkez round on the left-hand side, where Gakpo will obviously also be. I think that is a good way to sort of try and break down Forest. And I also think when Konate has the ball in build-up, if he can find Jones, let's say, I don't think Forest will really press us, but if Jones can maybe come in here and provide an extra passing lane, or even if the ball comes out to Jones, I think Jones is really good at Jones is really good at keeping the ball, and he's comfortable under a press. I think he'd be able to help us pass the ball into midfield or down the line much better at right back than perhaps Szoboszlai would be, and it allows Szoboszlai to play in the middle. I would like to see that. I don't think that's what will happen, though. Let's make that clear. I don't think that's what will happen. Something else that we need to do in this game, without a shadow of a doubt, is get our striker the ball. Something I've been talking about recently is that our number 9, whoever it is, whether it's Ekatike or Isak, whoever plays this furthest forward position for us is not getting the ball enough. Anywhere near enough. Nowhere near the amount of touches that Ekatike or Isak or whoever will be up front needs. So I really want to see a conscious effort for us to not just get, 1 or 2 chances for Ekatike and that's it. I want to see him dropping in when we're on the ball, when Forest are trying to screen and defend. I want to see him picking up maybe passes between the lines, maybe linking up with players around him. Can he slot players through? Can he take the ball and maybe bring wingers into play? I really want to see an emphasis on getting Hugo Ekatike the ball. And then if Isak does come on, I want to see the same with him. I want to see us getting him involved. I think it's really got to be important that we do that, because we've actually only scored 1 goal in the first half an hour of our Premier League games this season. 1. And I'm pretty sure that was the first game of the season against Bournemouth. I've not looked into that stat, but just off the top of my head, I think Ekatike's goal was the one in the first half an hour. Now, that might be wrong, but there's definitely only 1 goal that we've scored in that first half an hour. So I think getting our striker on the ball will be key to scoring, hopefully, that early goal and going 1-0 up, which we desperately need to do. Now, this will be Slot's 50th game in the Premier League for Liverpool, obviously. He's won 31 out of his first 49. No Liverpool player has actually won more. No Liverpool manager has actually won more in their first 50 games than Arne Slot. Now, do with that stat what you will. I'm not here to sway people's judgment about Slot at the minute. I'm just giving you the stats. So he's already reached the mark, but of most wins in his first 50 games. But tomorrow he will actually get to that 50th Premier League game. And the only team that he hasn't beaten so far of the teams that we've faced, obviously there's a few promoted sides like Leeds and Sunderland that we haven't played this season yet, that Slot hasn't beaten is Nottingham Forest. And yeah, he beat Chelsea last year. I was just thinking Chelsea. It is Forest. Obviously lost 1-0 at Anfield last season, and then drew 1-1 at the City ground. So, yes, Slot was obsessed with that Forest game last season. He only mentioned it in his interviews around 470 times. Now, that may or may not be a true stat. Go and fact check me if you'd like. He mentioned it a lot last year. I would like to think he's got, a bit of added oomph as a result, and really is desperate to beat these guys, which we desperately need to do. We have to get back to winning ways sooner rather than later. We can't afford to keep being like this, especially when our fixture run in the league is about as kind as it possibly could be over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Even though we have games coming thick and fast, we couldn't really ask for much better ones. So that's Liverpool. I think the key battles for us in this game is going to be in this middle of the pitch. Mostly, Forest are going to try and pack the middle, and then when they get Gibbs White in, I'll put Forest on the board in a second. But Gibbs White's obviously going to play. I think Gravenberch against Gibbs White is going to be a really key matchup. Gibbs White sort of keeps everything ticking for Forest. He's the creative hub. He's the captain. He's the main player for them. So that's a big one. I think McAllister against Elliot Anderson, who's been getting a lot of buzz. He seems to be the new flavour of the month for England. Good player, no doubt about it. But I think McAllister will be sort of near his side. And I think, I don't want to say nullifying Anderson, but winning that battle in the middle is going to be key. And then also, like I've mentioned already, Ekitike against these two centre-backs, which will be Murillo and Milenkovic. Both really good centre-backs, combative, strong, good in the air, like a tackle. He's going to have to do a really good job just getting himself involved in the game, putting himself about, making himself a nuisance and creating chances, hopefully, against a pretty solid Forest back line, at least last season. Not quite seen that as much this year. We'll talk more about Forest in a second. So let's get them on the board, and then we'll start talking about our opponents this weekend. All right, so Nottingham Forest then, their predicted 11. I think it will be Sells in the goal. Obviously, it'll be Savona at right back, who's been impressing recently, with Milenkovic and Murillo, obviously the centre-backs. Nico Williams, familiar face for us, will be at left back. Mario Hutchinson on the wing after his impressive performance against Leeds in the last Premier League outing. And then Ryan Yates and Elliot Anderson, I think, will be in the middle, with Dan Ndoye on the left. Gibbs White and then Igor Jesus should lead the line for Forest. I think this will be the team they go with. They've obviously got a few other options in the middle. Sangare, Dominguez. I think Wood is fit, Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I think this will be the team they go with. Now, Forest are second bottom in the league. There's no getting around that. They have only 2 wins this season. One of them was against Leeds last week, or last Premier League game 2 weeks ago, 3-1 at home. So only 1 win before that. Obviously, they've had 3 managers already this season. They started with Nuno, then they appointed Postecoglou, which is the second shortest managerial reign in Premier League history. I actually don't know who's first, so I haven't looked that up. But I know Postecoglou's was the second shortest. I think it was 39 days, and that was an absolute disaster. And now they've got Sean Dyche. So they've gone stylistically very different from those managers. Dyche and Nuno more similar to one another, which I think is why they've had a little bit of an uptick since Dyche has come in. They are a totally different side since he's arrived. So let's look at the results since his arrival, because you can basically throw out all of Forest's performances and play that happened prior to Dyche. You pretty much can. So since he's come in, they beat Porto 2-0. Not a bad first game. Then they lost 2-0 to Bournemouth in the league. They drew 2-2 with United. Obviously, almost won that game. It was an Ahmad goal late on that got United a point there. They drew 0-0 with Sturm Graz, an Austrian team in the Europa League. And then they beat Leeds 3-1, like I said, 2 weeks ago. So, a bit of an uptick there. Only 1 defeat in the last 5. Beating Porto, drawing with United, beating Leeds. Decent results there for Forest. And in the Premier League, if you look at those games alone, They've had an XG generated of 0.37 in the first games against Bournemouth, so okay, not great there, but then 1.93 and 2.55. Now, they did get a penalty, so that skews the data up a little bit, but that'll be an average over those 3 games of 1.62 expected goals per game, which would actually be the same as Liverpool's. It'll be 7th best in the league. So you can see already they've seem to be generating more chances. Something they've struggled with this season, scoring goals. Well, they've struggled with everything really this season. That's why they're second bottom in the league. But it's just funny, isn't it? They'd be the same as us if you just look at those 3 games. Obviously, the data is a little bit hard to judge because it's a small sample size and it's very skewed for Forest with the different managers they've had, which is why I've just isolated Dyche's period in charge of Forest. Looking at the expected goals conceded in those Premier League games, 0.58 against Bournemouth, 1.12 against United, and then 0.69 against Leeds. Now, that would be an average of 0.8 per game, which would actually be the 2nd best in the league. Only Arsenal would have a better XG conceded if you just isolated those 3 games for Forest. So what does this show us? Well, clearly it shows us Dyche has come in, and as he does, has got them really well organised. Now, it's no secret in this game, they're going to sit in a narrow, low block. Dyche has a whole thing of defending the width of the 18-yard line. Now, at times, I'm sure we'll see almost a back 6 like this, with Yates and Anderson and Gibbs-White dropping in, and it will probably look a bit like this at certain times. This is going to be a low block game. This Dyche knows exactly how to set up like this, and he knows also Liverpool struggle against this type of setup this season. Now, Dyche, extremely direct, and we're going to look at some clips of the goals against Leeds and against Forest as well, because I've noticed a clear pattern in Forest's play and researching them for this game since Dyche has arrived. It's extremely direct. We know how they're going to set up. They're going to be compact. They're going to frustrate. They're going to time waste. One thing they don't do, though, is take long throws. They actually have the lowest number of long throws attempted in the league so far this season, even lower than us. So, interesting thing there. Hopefully that's a good thing for us, but it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden they take long throws against us. If they've watched us play this year, they'd be stupid not to. So, let's look at Forest's clips, only a few, just to show you what I've noticed about them since Dyche has arrived. Alright, so here we are against Leeds early on in the game. Now, what you'll notice with Forest under Dyche is build-up is not of importance to them at all. They want to get the ball with the centre-backs, who are both decent long passes of the ball, especially Murillo, and they want to kick the ball into the channels. Now, they fill up the channels as well. You'll see middle of the pitch, nobody there, no intention of receiving the ball between the lines. Got the 2 City midfielders. This ball is going down the line. Milenkovic knocks it down the line, and they compete. Jesus, good in the air, similar to Chris Wood, gets up. They've got players around it. Here's the fullback. Here's the winger running onto it. They get the flick on. It goes to Ndoye. He's able to deliver a cross into the box. This is how Dyche likes to play. We know this. Get crosses into the box, be direct. It comes in. There's a little bit of a scramble in the middle. It falls to Sangare, and he pops the ball in the net, and they score. Direct play, balls into channels, causing problems, crosses into the box, goal. Next one. This time, Murillo's on the ball down here. He's about to play, again, a very similar pass to Milenkovic, but this time a crossfield ball. He's got a really good passing range, Murillo. Over to Hutchinson. Again, you see the middle of the pitch. They haven't really got anybody here looking to receive the ball. There's no intention of build-up through the lines. They want to go direct. The ball is a great one. Comes out to Hutchinson. He works a bit of an angle, swings it in, into the box. Gibbs-White, poor marking from Leeds, to be honest. Gibbs-White gets his head to it, curls it into this far post, scores a goal. Another goal from across. Another example. Elliot Anderson this time played the ball out wide. It's now Ndoye on the ball. This is United now, so those 2 last ones were against Leeds. This one is United. Ball's out wide after a long pass. They fill up the box. See Gibbs-White crash in. Jesus already in there. This is actually Milenkovic already in the box. The ball comes in. I think this is Williams. Oh no, this is Savona actually, or Yates. I think it's actually Yates crossing this ball in. Not important anyway. The ball comes in. They've got players in the box waiting for it. Who gets his head on it again? Gibbs-White in at this far post, I guess, back where it came from. They score again. Another one Cross again, this time recycling a set piece out wide. They fill up the box. The cross comes in. It's a decent delivery. There's a little bit of a scramble. Igor Jesus gets his head to the ball. Savona is alert, gets onto it, pops it in the net. Another goal. So what have we just seen here? Well, we know how Forest are going to play. We know how they're going to create chances. They're going to get the ball out wide. They're going to cross it in. That's going to be the game plan. Hutchinson and Doy, they're good at going one-on-one. They're going to try and get crosses in. Hudson-Odoi also might be fit enough to make the bench. Very similar type of player. Direct, one-on-one player. Get crosses into the box. Fill up the box where they can. If we're only winning this game by 1 goal towards the end, it's going to get very, very nervy as a result of this type of pressure that Forest can put on us. So let's see if we can handle it. Hopefully we can. But this is the highlight of the danger with Dyche in charge of Forest. And as per usual, to end the preview, we are going to do Super 6 quickly. So we've got Liverpool against Forest. I really hate it when they put Liverpool in this, but I do think it's safe to predict Liverpool win. Now, I'm certain Forest will score. I'm almost certain with no right back and our defensive record, I think Forest will score. I do think we'll score a couple though, so I'm going to go 3-1 in that game. Hopefully going to get a couple of goals. Bournemouth, West Ham. I'm surprised Cara predicts a draw here. West Ham are looking a little bit better, but Bournemouth, I feel like a 2-0 win. Wolves and Palace. Wolves have got a new manager, Rob Edwards, but most people think Palace will win, I imagine, in this one. Yeah, wow, a lot of people do. Wolves, yet to get their first win of the season. Could it be here? I'm going to say it is. Why not? Let's say 2-1 to Wolves. Why not? Newcastle and City. Newcastle have been pretty poor away from home. Bit better at home. I give them a goal. I'll give City 2 though. I'll go 2-1 to Man City away from home. Leeds and Villa. Leeds on a bit of a slide. Hopefully can get a result. Let's go with a draw. Let's go with a 1-1 draw. And then Arsenal, Spurs. Arsenal got a couple of injuries. Wow. It's just safe to predict that Arsenal won't concede a goal, isn't it? It really is. But I think they will. I think they'll concede 1 goal maybe in this game. Let's give 1 to Spurs. It is a derby after all. But Arsenal probably get the win. Let's go 2-1 there. And then we'll just go 5th minute, as always, for the golden goal. 75-1 on that one. Let's see if we win. But we probably won't. Alright guys, that is going to do it for the match preview. I really do hope that you did enjoy everything we've talked about today for the upcoming game, Liverpool against Forest, Saturday 3 o'clock. Hopefully a good one for us. Obviously I will have the ratings out after the Liverpool game. Hopefully a win. Hopefully a happy set of ratings. But if you did enjoy the video today, please do drop a like, drop your score predictions as well in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Help get to 250 subscribers, everybody. That would be awesome. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday, and hopefully the football tomorrow with a positive result from the Mighty Reds. Until then, I'll speak to you in the ratings. Take care. Goodbye.